So run high schools, universities. Villanova is certainly the most prominent of those universities. They serve as pastors of parishes. They really take care of the people of God in a wide variety of ways, with a special devotion to St. Augustine, that rule in which they're called to live their lives. They come together to pray. They share meals together. There's that Augustinian spirituality that they bring. There's any number of religious orders, and then Father Greg and I are both secular priests, so I was ordained for the Archdiocese of Chicago and then named a bishop by Pope Francis. The Augustinians are ordained into a community, not into a specific location. So that's kind of like the biggest difference. So, yeah. So honestly, the most important thing is that a successor of St. Peter has been elected. So no matter who that person was going to be a source of great joy and a source of great happiness for us. One of the things that we believe strongly is that we are children of God first and foremost. And so while there's a sense that we're proud he's from Chicago, we're proud that this is the first Pope from the United States of America. Of course, that's a sense of pride. But Pope Leo XIV is first and foremost a child of God, and that means he is here to serve all of God's people. We also know that Pope Leo XIV served for many years in Peru, and so he has a real hands-on knowledge of what it means to serve the poor and to help those who are in need. So while there's a sense of pride, it really is secondary to the fact that a successor of St. Peter has been elected and is now going to serve as our spiritual leader, as the vicar for Christ here on earth. Once again, I would believe that any one who is elected would strengthen the church in America, strengthen the church in Chicago. That is the role of the shepherd. So whoever it was going to be was going to make us stronger. Given that, I would say that he brings a wide variety of perspectives. He brings what it means to have been born in Chicago, what it means to have been educated here in the United States, what it means to serve in Peru. As the head of Congregation of Bishops, he was very, very familiar with the worldwide church. And so he brings in many, many areas of expertise and many, many experiences. And of course, being born and raised in Chicago is one of those experiences that he brings. And so obviously that's a special connection. Yeah, so to be honest with you, I haven't had the opportunity to talk to anybody who knew him since the election was announced, but I had a lot of conversations beforehand. I have been hearing wonderful stories about Cardinal Prevost long before there was any consideration that he might have been elected as the Pope. So I certainly know of him through a lot of stories, and all of those stories are that he is a kind, caring, faithful, spiritual man who has done everything in his power to serve the Lord and to serve God's people. So I haven't talked to any of my friends who are Augustinians yet. I am looking forward to those conversations. But again, everything I've heard about him prior to this has always been just extraordinarily kind and nice things about him, and great leadership abilities. So I have not spoken to Cardinal Supage yet. When the cardinals go into conclave, there is a complete media blackout, so they are not able to receive any communication whatsoever. I was at our pastoral center, kind of like our headquarters, and we were all watching it together on big screen television. So all the different departments, everybody came down together as a sense of great excitement and building up. And there's just been so much talk about this, a sense of great energy. And then when we were slowly figuring out that we knew him, there's always a time delay with the media reports, like, depending upon your internet speed and that. So it actually had kind of broken first by someone's phone before we had all watched it together. And so it was just kind of like this building momentum. So the Cardinal has spent a great deal of time communicating with us in direct regards to the needs of the Archdiocese. And so he is very, very much in tune to what is happening here. I know that he worked very closely with Pope Francis. He did not specifically say that these are the things that he was looking for. I would say that he entered into the conclave completely open to the movement of the Holy Spirit. I would say that he did not go in with an agenda, but he did go in telling us to make sure that we keep moving in the right direction. He was very concerned about us here. He loves the Church of Chicago. He wants the best of the Church of Chicago, and he was putting us hard at work. When I say the right direction, we're moving in a direction. So he has a mission, he's got a plan, he has a vision, which all leaders do. And he wanted to make sure that just because he was going to be in Rome, that we were not going to continue the good works that we're already doing. So when you say what the mission is, it's all things that we've been working on, building up a sense of parish vitality, working on towards making sure that everybody can have an opportunity to have a personal relationship with the Lord. That is Cardinal Cupich's number one priority, that we help people enter into a relationship with Jesus Christ. So I really do believe that the popes do serve as a wonderful example of what it means to be kind, compassionate, caring people. And so people who are not Catholic, people who are not Christian, people of all denominations, I think, can look to the Holy Father as someone who really serves as an example of what it means to care for those who might seem forgotten. And just like we look to other spiritual leaders and we look to their example of what it means to be a people of dignity and respect, making sure that everyone receives the dignity and respect that God will want for all of his children. So I am a lifelong Catholic. We will be celebrating Mother's Day this weekend. I recognize that my faith came first and foremost from my parents, from my mom and my dad and my family. I also believe that my experience at grammar school helped to form my faith, and I believe that the experiences that I have had here in Chicago have helped me understand the importance of living a life of faith. And I would suspect that whether you're from Chicago or not, that's the experience that Pope Leo XIV will be bringing with him, a real sense of faith being a priority, faith being at the center of the way we live our lives. And I think that that's something he understands extraordinarily well. I would say that part of the Chicago spirit is that we journey together. I think if I look at my own experience, my faith is not lived in a silo. It's not lived in a vacuum. I would say the Chicago way is that we come together, we share our faith, we tell stories about our faith, we are traveling together. While none of us are perfect, we're on the road together. And I would say, from my perspective, that's what I've learned in Chicago. I suspect that would be true of wherever you've grown up. But that's my understanding as a lifelong Chicagoan. So I think it's very important that the Pope does speak up for the voiceless. I think it's important for the Pope to speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. And I think that Pope Francis was certainly someone who cared for those who were living on the fringes, who could easily be forgotten. And I strongly suspect that Pope Leo XIV will do the same thing. He will give voice to the voiceless. And I think that really is our responsibility. So I would certainly say that we all bring our own gifts and our own talents and our own strengths. And I think that all of the popes do serve the same purpose, and that is to help bring people to Christ, to be a voice for the voiceless, to stand up for human dignity and respect. How exactly that is going to get played out, I don't know. Pope Leo XIV is not a successor of Pope Francis. He's a successor of St. Peter. So in whatever way that he feels he can best be that vicar for Christ is what he's going to do. It's not quite like political candidates where you're kind of following in a platform or an agenda. The platform is the same. The emphasis that you put on that may vary. And I just know that he is a very, very kind, caring, spiritual person. And I've heard that from people who really do know him. So however he uses those gifts to convey that, I think only time will tell. I certainly think that that's a part of who we are. I think oftentimes people look at synodality as like a consensus, it's a vote. Synodality is really about us sharing our stories. It's not about counting numbers, so we're going to go in direction A as opposed to B. Synodality is about everyone recognizing the presence of the Holy Spirit in their life and how they feel God is leading them. It's not about building factions or camps or get one way over another. That's really not what synodality is about, and so it is confusing. So I would say, once again, that Pope Leo XIV is a child of God first and foremost. I would say that he is going to live that out in very predictable ways, standing up. In terms of nationalism, obviously, the Pope is the spiritual leader of 1.2 billion people. He's going to be speaking for them. And the people of God are not confined to national boundaries. He is not an American at this point. He's a child of God. And that's the way that he's going to lead, taking all people into consideration. Yeah, I would just like to say that no one lives in that silo or vacuum that I've talked about. Everyone has been formed by women in their life. So yes, only men were electing the Pope, but they were bringing all of their life experiences. And I mentioned earlier, a great part of my faith story is my mom and my dad. And as we celebrate Mother's Day, it's a day to recognize the influence that our mothers have in our lives. So even though they're all men, they're not just bringing that one perspective, they're bringing all of their experiences into that election. And there has been wonderful leadership on behalf of women in the church. And I know that we are certainly guided by that wonderful influence. I myself have been influenced by wonderful people in my life, and the opinions I've formed are a result of all of that shared wisdom. It's not just one perspective, it's everybody's perspective. They were just the ones who were casting the vote. So we're going to have so throughout the Archdiocese, parishes will be doing a wide variety of things. Here at Holy Name Cathedral, we're going to have a special Mass tomorrow morning. But there will be Masses all over to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yes.
And do you know when the Cardinal will return, and he'll make some remarks as well about his experience there?
No, we have not been able to be in contact with the Cardinal. As you can imagine, there is so much going on. He will be here as soon as it's appropriate, and then he will absolutely be making a comment. The Cardinal cares a great deal about the church, and he is going to want to spread this message of good news. But we don't know when he'll be back. Okay, I'll switch.
Father, I just have to ask you for your comments of, you've been here for a long time and in Chicago for a long time. What was your reaction to the news today?
Sure. Father Gregory, Gregory, Sakowitz, S as in Sam, Akowi, C as in cat, Z as in zebra. I'm the rector of Holy Name Cathedral. My first reaction when I heard it was announced that Cardinal Robert Prevost was named Pope, I was in absolute shock. Happily shocked. He was not on my short list. He was on maybe my top 10 list. Here's the ironic part. When he was named in Chicago, at that moment I looked outside here in Chicago, the sun came out. The sun came out. Someone would say, what a coincidence the sun came out. A coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. A coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Now, one burning question I have is the fact that the Pope Leo XIV, or Cardinal then, Robert Prevost, was born in Chicago on the South Side. Is he a Chicago White Sox fan? I don't know. He's a Cubs fan. I heard he's a Cubs fan. Well, God bless him. And God bless all the fans. I heard, I think he was born in Dalton. But I don't quote, well, you're already quoting me on that one, I would say. So we'll see. But here's the thing. Two things that strike me. Number one, he has been the lead or the head of the castery for making bishops worldwide. Therefore, it tells me this. He was very well known by the other cardinals in the conclave. And number two, the fact that he was born in Chicago, American raised, but spent time in Rome, also in Latin America, means he's got great diversity and background and would be heavily into social justice, speaking as a voice for the poor. Those are some of my immediate thoughts that come out. I've heard, as Bishop Sullivan said, about his kindness, his goodness, and it's very important to know that he might be Chicago-born, United States, but he is the Pope following Peter in that line of succession for the world. And so there's got to be a sensitivity and a care and open and listening, forgiving, compassionate. That's what it means to be Christ, to put on Christ. In all honesty, I found out a lady I was giving Holy Communion to said the new Pope is Cardinal Robert Prevost. And I said, amen. I said the body of Christ to her, and I then said, thank you for sharing. And then one of our seminarians, Carlos, said the same thing, but he said he's taken the name Leo XIV. At the end of Mass, I was able to put together and make the announcement. So when Mass started, I had no idea who it was, but I found out during communion and more right before the final blessing. That's a great question.
And at that point, did you realize that Cardinal Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, was from Chicago?
At that point, yes, because I knew because you have three from Chicago. You have Cardinal Blaise Cupich, Cardinal Wilton Gregory, Cardinal Robert Prevost. Those three have stuck in my head, but I thought very little chance of being named Pope, because I just didn't think it was going to be an American Pope, and so I knew who the guys were Chicago were. By the way, I've never met Pope Leo XIV. I've heard great things about him, but I've never met him. I have a feeling in the future, thanks to Cardinal Blaise Cupich, he may make in the future a visit to Chicago. Maybe yes, maybe no. Time will tell.
Father, you often reached out to young people through music throughout your career. How important is that for young people to have a connection with the priest, with the Pope?
I think it's very, very important. I think we have to be able to meet people where they're at on their terms. And I think age is irrelevant, that I love being with people, serving people. And if we come with an open heart and open mind and not judge, but tell me your story and be able to put it on Christ. We think about this. Every time someone says to you, can I talk to you? What they're really saying is, will you listen to me? Will you listen to me? So many times people just want to be listened to and heard. And I feel very humbled to be the rector of the Cathedral now for almost 9 years. And by the way, I was thinking about this during Mass. Tomorrow, May 9th, is my 46th anniversary as a priest. Ordained 46 years ago tomorrow. Chicago born and raised. I was baptized down the street at Holy Trinity. And I lost my mother 5 years ago. And Sunday being Mother's Day, I'll give special thanks to my mother and my father. But I think it's very, very important to answer your question that the Pope relate to people of all ages and not just certain groups. And here's the thing, we may not always be in agreement with what someone says, but to be respectful and listen and come with an open mind and open heart. I think the very fact he is Pope now for the whole world, you can never deny your roots. So I'm sure he has a love for Chicago, a love for the United States. That's part of his upbringing. And so he's also developed a real rapport and love for Europe, Latin America. That ends up being opening, but you can never deny your roots. So if I were not serving in Chicago right now and serving somewhere else, I'd always remember my upbringing in Chicago and Park Ridge, because that's part of who he was. So I think you can't deny where you're from, or as part of who you are from the neighborhood, and that's just part of who he is. But believe me, he will be open to the whole world, and he will listen and dialogue. And I think, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. It's true.
For the record, so with your personal background, you're a North Sider, but I think from what I've seen from some of your masses, you're a Sox fan.
I'm a diehard Chicago White Sox fan, even though I was born and raised in Park Ridge and North Side. However, I will never cheer against Chicago Cubs unless they play the White Sox. I'm also a diehard Bears fan and Bulls fan and Hawks fan and Fire fan and Chicago Sky fan. I love Chicago sports. I wish I knew my theology as well I know sports. Don't quote me on that, okay? Yes. I think the name come with Pope Leo. I think historically, the name Leo, and from previous popes, especially the last Pope Leo XIII, heavily into social justice. So preferential treatment for the poor, the rights of the voiceless. I think it's very important, I think, along your lines, Jewel, is that 3 things hit me. That Pope Leo XIV, I'm going to say this, I think he's going to be very strong on the immigrant, human rights, and the earth. the care for the earth. I think there'll be three main points that he may hit on. He'll have other items to go through. And by the way, all this will not be accomplished in one day. And there'll be similarities to Pope Francis, but as Bishop Sullivan said, he will be his own man, his own pope, with his own background and his strengths and his weaknesses. Thank you. Okay, thank you for it, everybody. Yeah, God bless all of you, and thank you. It's a great day for Chicago, the country, and the world, and for all Catholics, and for everybody in the world. He's a unifier.
And just for every media member that's here, just to let you know, please call us at our media line, 312-531-534-8227 for any additional interviews or inquiries. Thank you.
Cardinal Supich, I assume, is putting out a statement soon?
Yeah.
For that?
We've asked.
The bunting?
Yeah.
I guess when the truck can get here, is my guess.
Soon.
We hope real soon. Good question. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless all of you.